What's up guys, MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always. In this video I'm going to describe and break down why Steve is the hard counter to the Mishimas. You've probably heard this a bunch of times, but you've never had it fully explained to you in a godlike YouTube video, so that is what I will be attempting here today. And the gist of it is that Steve's basic game plan completely annihilates the Mishima's basic game plan. I will break this down step by step, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand that holy shit, playing Kazuya versus Steve is just not that easy, or a Mishima overall. But that's not to say that, you know, a lot of characters have trouble with Steve. He's pretty much a perfect tournament character, he's just super strong on paper overall. He's very complete in Tekken 7 compared to previous games. He even has, you know, decent low pokes, he has the guard break, etc. Areas where he had problems before, he does well here. So if you want to counter Steve, you better pick a character like maybe Alisa, Zafina, all these characters where they quite easily do high crushes, compared to the Mishimas. But let's just step one is looking at the back one. You know about this move, it's one of the absolute best moves in the game. And you know that Mishimas, they like to get away, you know, throw electrics, do keep out with electric or up close pressure with electric. The thing is, back one just does this better. It's not as good on block, but without any execution, just hitting back one, you have a 13 frame counter hit launcher. And of course the Mishima electric is 14 frames, unless you're throwing perfect electrics with Kazuya, but most of the time you're not doing that. Especially when you're dashing in, it will always be 14. You can't dash into a perfect electric. So this will beat you every single time. So that is just the first point of this breakdown, but this one cannot be underestimated. That back one slays the Mishimas. So it beats the electric, but also it beats all of the crouch dash mix-ups. Because most of the time when you're wave dashing, you're standing, and as soon as you commit to an attack, be it forward 3, forward 4, down forward 2, hell sweep, even though it looks like the Mishimas duck down when they do their hell sweep, it has no high crush whatsoever. None. Zero. And this is classic Tekken. This is of course a legacy move, been with us since Tekken 1. I don't even know if the animation has changed, to be honest. But the crushing system joined us in Tekken 5, so a lot of the legacy characters have very little crushing, whereas the newer a character is, the more crushing they usually have, due to, you know, being developed during the crushing era. So the hell sweep being a legacy move, zero crushing. So this is obviously also a factor, you know, back one completely neuters the 50-50 mix-up. Just throw back ones and, and Mishimas have a very hard time indeed. And then a problem is, as I just mentioned, with the Mishimas being legacy characters, and especially Kazuya, there's just a huge lack of high crush. And that is just a big problem when you go versus Steve, who has some of the deadliest highs in the game. His jab, 1-1, back 1. The list can be made very long. And Kazuya, unfortunately, his back stays very straight during all of his key moves. So I think sidestep 3 has some crushing though, but most of the time you just don't have any crushing, and that back one just eats you alive. But interestingly, you have a move I like a lot, the forward roll there, which is that attack Kazuya has, which crushes highs and even some mids sometimes who have pretty shitty hitboxes. So this will always counter the back one. And that would have been so great if it wasn't for the fact that Steve has one of the best 11 frame while standing punishes in the game in the Wild Man. So every time he blocks your attempt to do this, you eat a lot of damage. 32, and then he's left in, as you can see, +3. So, would have been great, you know, if maybe Steve was like Brian, you know, where he gets while standing free, you know, or Marduk while standing 1, you know, terrible 11 frame while standing. But of course, Steve, who overall has bad punishment, of course he has one of the best 11 frame while standing punishes. So again, just a problem. And you can also try and high crush, of course, with down back free, which works quite well. But again, it puts Kazuya at -1 on hit. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. No cool counter hit property. And of course, if that's blocked, it's another Wildman. Well, you have all of those points, you know, where, you know, counters Mishima's rather well. But this is also one of the most important points, is that Steve, in his design, is a counter hit, pressure, super safe character. Steve doesn't take risks. If you just utilize his key moves, he's never minus. He just throws safe moves quickly, mids and highs, in the hopes of getting a counter hit. So not relying on a 50-50, rather just throwing safe moves, relying on counter hits. And what do the Mishimas do the best, pretty much, and Kazuya? Punishment. They have excellent block punishment, so that characters can't really take risks versus them. As soon as they're -10, -12, -15, blah blah, you know, it hurts a lot. But the problem is, Steve is never minus. So one of Kazuya's greatest strengths, you can't really utilize it versus Steve, because Steve's fundamental game plan, you know, just counters. And another problem, of course, is that Mishimas need some space to get comfortable and set up electrics, 50-50s. Steve has excellent pressure, excellent pokes. He will just stay in your face like this and not give you any time whatsoever to try and implement a 50-50. Just lock you down like this, and you have no crushing, no panic buttons to get out of it. And he locks down spacing. You don't really sidestep versus Steve. Try and sidestep an electric to counter, because his homing moves are too strong. His tracking is too strong overall. He locks you down. He controls the pacing of a match. Oh, and the flicker is super hard to try and while standing punish, because with Kazuya you have a twin pistons, with Devil Jin while standing 2, you know, to try and launch them, with Heihachi, well, while standing 1. But the problem is, all of those while standing moves, as soon as you activate them, prior to them connecting, you know, as soon as the animation starts, you have standing status. And this is where the goddamn flickers of Steve are so hard to try and while standing punish, because they're so fast, and every single one of them will counter hit you as soon as you attempt that counter or twin piston or whatever. So even trying to do, you know, duck a high and while standing pressure, it's rocket science. You really have to know exactly when to time it. But of course, all of this is very delayable as well. So it's just very difficult to do. Steve's highs are so fast, so powerful. And again, the Mishimas have a very hard time pressuring back, especially Kazuya's. All of your moves are just slightly slower. Or just slightly slower to come out. And you have no crushing. And then Steve will come at you with a 13 frame jab, with multiple down forward 1, I mean. 13 frame down forward 1, with multiple types of follow-ups. Jab that has different types of follow-ups. Incredible stance pressure. Crazy punch parries. this parry here, which is also homing, locks down spacing, and the normal punch parry, which is really good versus Mishima's because Mishima's used to do moves featuring their hands, of course. And then we have, of course, also not a minor thing, but every time a 50-50 is stepped, which is what good players do versus the Mishima 50-50, Steve, a good Steve player, will wait until he gets your back, and then he'll do this. That's 130 damage. As you can see on this part, fully guaranteed, 71 damage. But after that, they can hold down back to not get hit by the Shoryuken. But most people panic there, and they do either a back turn kick or a dick jab to turn around. And if they do that, all of this connects. But if they do hold down back, the last Shoryuken is not guaranteed. But again, that's 71 damage alone. And then you can go for a mix-up. I think if they do hold down back, you at least get a 2 or a 1-2. But in any case, one of the best back-turned setups in the game, I think. And of course, that is a big problem when you rely on hell sweeps. Or 50-50s, and Steve can easily get access to your rear. So that is going to be it. I hope this gave you some insight into the problems playing Kazuya versus Steve, and how Steve's game plan just completely counters Kazuya's and the Mishima's. And yeah, just a very difficult matchup. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and I hope you have a lovely day. Take care.